Okay, hi guys, Mr. Boss here, and this is going to be a video about the iPhone 7. So, you all know that I'm not really a massive fan of Apple. I don't really endorse their products, and to be honest, I don't really do many videos on iPhones at all. But I thought that, since the iPhone 6 has been such a success, and since, to be honest, Apple has really shaped the market, whether or not us Android lovers like to believe it, I thought that it's probably a good time to actually do a video about their next smartphone, which is undoubtedly going to be the iPhone 6s or the iPhone 7, more than likely the 6s, but nonetheless we can't argue that Apple hasn't changed the way we sort of see our devices. I think that, if the iPhone wasn't introduced when it was, the whole sort of marketplace would be well behind where it is. Who knows if even today we would have smartphones. So if you actually think about the progression of phones before the actual iPhone was announced, every year they were making very incremental improvements. They'd sort of, maybe make a slight software update. The actual level of games playable on those sorts of devices were incredibly weak compared to what we have now. And I think that, it's only since the smartphone market sort of came to be that every year we've been seeing like double the performance, triple the performance, and real leap forwards in terms of technology and the sort of things we can do with our devices. So yeah, this is all because of Apple, I'm not gonna lie. Android has obviously sped up the process in recent years, but I think that it really does boil down to Steve Jobs and the team behind him at the time of the release of the original. So, Apple has made a lot of progress since the first phone came out. Their software has evolved over time from iOS 1 to iOS 8. And although it may seem to some that there's only really been one big change, which came iOS 7, the sort of way the iPhone looks, to be honest, there's been a lot of big improvements throughout. I think that, a lot of the software innovation and stuff has actually come sort of beside the new iPhone releases. I would say that, to be honest, they've actually added useful features at every single stage of the iPhone sort of cycle. So, probably the first time the screen size has really taken a big step forward is with the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, which have recently been released, and, they've sold amazingly. I think that on launch day there were some iPhone 6s selling for over £1,000 on eBay, just because, these avid Apple fans really wanted to get their hands on them, and that was the only way. So the iPhone 7 is something that I have really high hopes for. I think that, just looking at what they've done with the Apple iPad Air 2, they really can make a thin device. Apple really know what they're doing here in terms of engineering. Somehow with the iPad Air we thought it was impossibly thin, and yet they managed to literally double the performance, increase the GPU performance by about 40%, and still make it slimmer. I really don't know how they do it, but it's a feat of engineering. Now in the next iPhone, I don't want to see a higher resolution display. I don't want to see, lots of gimmicky new features. I don't want to see enhanced fingerprint sensor control and that kind of thing. The things I really want to see here are, number one, waterproofing. I think that that's something that, a lot of the iPhone family is missing, and they really do, you feel it when you switch from an Android to an iOS device, because it's a really good feature. I think that the camera lens really needs to actually take a step up in terms of size. There's only so far that many megapixels can go before they start to become limited by the size and quality of the sensor. On top of that, I think Apple should really actually up their speaker quality. Considering the iPhone and the iPod sort of line is basically their trademark and their whole flagship music listening device line, I think that they should really pay more attention to how music sounds. I think that they should build in a real top-notch equalizer, probably a digital amp as well, to improve the sound quality to its optimal level. And last of all, shatterproof. The amount of people I see with smashed iPhone screens, it's ridiculous. Even iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, none of them have really stood the test of time like a lot of Android devices have, and I think that's one place Apple really needs to work on. The device does not need to be impossibly thin or so light that you can barely feel it in your hands. It needs to be strong enough to stand the sort of 2 years or so that a person's going to use it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope you're looking forward to this phone as much as I am, and don't forget to subscribe for more.